See, this will stop always in the same spot. The solution is, you take a very simple screw. I bet you didn't know. See, after the trip in Italy, I changed tires on Tenny. I put some more road and wet road friendly tires. And I found out that there is a noise coming from the disc, almost grinding in one of the spots. The first thing that comes to mind is probably thinking the disc is bent or there is some issues with the brake caliper. But instead, yesterday I met a friend of mine, he's a very good mechanic, and he showed me something so simple and that I had no idea about it. See, those are called floating discs. Floating not because they fly around, but because they are actually in two separate parts. Now I'm gonna put Tenny on my very expensive center stand and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's go. The Tenny is on my very expensive center stand. I will let you hear the sound first of all. See, this will stop always in the same spot. I thought it's because the caliper was tight or there was an issue with the brake pads or a disc bent, but in reality, if you come a bit closer, I will show you something about the way the floating disc works. Then this outer circle is detached from the inner circle, and the reason why is because this is the part where the brake pads will bite when you're braking, and when they get really hot, they will not transfer heat to the inner circle. To keep this working, there is a very simple mechanism. There are those called bobbins that are keeping the disc separated a millimeter from each other. Brake dust, or just as you can see there is soil, will fill the gap and not allow this to move. What happens is that sometimes in one of those spaces, which in my case I signed is probably this one, there is too much brake dust or there is accumulated dirt, and it will basically slightly bend the disc, so it doesn't allow for movement, and so when you spin the wheel it will stop there. The solution is, you take a very simple screw and nut, you pass it from the inside, okay, you lock it in this way. Brake cleaner, don't use anything else because you don't want any lube to be here, otherwise next time you're gonna be braking, you will go straight. What you need to do is you just spray a little bit here and then you try to let this bobbin rotate, and do the same for the remaining. Imagine there are only 6 on my bike. Now you want to do all the other. Sometimes you have no other solution but to do that, because I need to keep the wheel steady when I do this. Okay. Also work in the garage while the light goes on and off. I feel like in the disco. After I've done all 12 bobbins, this is the result. As you can see, much better. Okay, it is better. So to be honest, for a dirt bike, that's a good result. What I wanted you to understand today is the difference between a floating disc that is detached. The outer circle is detached from the inner circle by those bobbins. Okay, so floating disc, towards the difference from the rear one, which is a fixed one. As you can see, it's all one piece. Okay, and the reason why the rear one is in this way is because the rear one tends to take less load and less heat, so there is no need for so much heat dissipation.